Caitlin and welcome to my channel. Today I am doing a July reading recap and going over everything that is on my August TBR. Now, fair warning, despite the fact that last month I thought I got out of a reading slump, and I genuinely think I did, I might have fallen back into another one because I actually only finished 2 books this month. I'm like in the middle of reading one, so like 2.5-ish, but I only actually read 2, and I'm a little disappointed in myself. But I'm reading in general at all, so that's a win. That's more than some people can say, and I have to take those small wins, especially when I am struggling to motivate myself to read. So yeah. That being said, let's dive into this very short reading recap. The first book I read this July was A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I ended up rating this book 4.5 stars on Fable. If you've been following along with my reading recap videos or just my reading videos in general, then you'll know that I am reading the ACOTAR series for the first time ever this year in hopes to finish it before the 6th book comes out. And I do think that that is very possible. I was talking to some people the other day that said that I need to read the Crescent City series before I read the 6th one, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. Just total transparency, I do not know if I am capable of that, especially with the rate that I've been reading this year. It's unlikely. Now, this book specifically is about 700 pages long, so to say that I was intimidated to start this and read the whole thing would be an understatement. However, I somehow was able to finish this book faster than I finished A Court of Mist and Fury, which is hundreds of pages shorter. And I don't know how exactly that happened, but I'm very proud of myself for that. I've also heard a lot of people say that like this series starts to fall off after A Court of Mist and Fury, and I could not disagree more. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved A Court of Mist and Fury, and I wouldn't say that I loved this book more than that one, but this is still a really good book. And to say that like this is the beginning of the end for this series is kind of insane to me. I just don't agree with that. I'm also not like huge on reading fight scenes or fight sequences in books. I feel like I generally tend to skim read those, but for this series specifically, but this book specifically, I'm reading every single one, every single word, not skim reading at all. I love the way Sarah J. Maas writes her fighting scenes. And again, if you've been following along with my reading recap videos this year, then you'll know that I actually had been spoiled about a couple of things in the ACOTAR series just because I am pretty online, and obviously a lot of people talk about these books very frequently or like draw art or that kind of thing. So I had been spoiled for quite a few major plot points. For example, the love triangle and how that ends up shaking out, the like politics of the 2nd and 1st book. But this is the first book that I've read in this series where I felt like I had minimal to no spoilers going into it. Like, I did not know much of anything about this book, and I loved it. It was also really fun to read this book and get to see more of Feyre's sisters because obviously we knew a little bit about them in book 1. We'd seen them a little bit in book 2, but to finally like hear from them and understand what they're going through and like watch what they're going through was really fun, and I hope that we get to see more of it in the upcoming books. My one criticism for this book is that at the very end, and I will try to be very like vague with this in case someone else watching this video hasn't read this whole series, but at the very end, there is a moment of self-sacrifice. There's actually 2, but I'm thinking of one specifically that just like kind of felt like there wasn't really a point to it. Like, it felt like it was just being thrown in for drama's sake to like make it more dramatic, and maybe I just like wasn't paying close enough attention throughout like the rest of the book leading up to that point to like understand the undertones and being able to read in between the lines that that was always going to happen. But it just felt kind of out of nowhere, and I was more confused than I was like shocked or devastated, especially because of how it ended up turning out. I just felt it was kind of like not ridiculous. I don't want to say ridiculous, but it felt like there was almost no point in even doing it. I don't know. The second book that I read this July was The Song of Salt and Shadow by Serene Rose. I gave this book 3.75 stars on Goodreads. Unless I'm forgetting something else that I've read in the past, I think this was my first like pirate romantasy book, and I loved it. As a subgenre, it will definitely not be my last. I don't know if I was just coming off the high of reading Wings in Ruin and I was just really excited to be like reading super fastly again, but I ended up skim reading the first like 50 pages of this book, but I caught myself, went back to the beginning and reread it because it got to a point in the book where I was like, wait, is this like something that they've already addressed? Like, is this magic or like whatever is happening, something that they've already gone over? Because I literally did not remember the first like several chapters of the book. So I did go back and reread, and it made me slow down a lot more. And I think that could be part of the reason as to why I was reading so much slower for the rest of the month, because I didn't want to like miss out on any details in this book. And therefore it caused me to read slower, and therefore I drew it out across like basically the rest of the month. I did really like this book. I thought it was very fun and the aesthetic and the vibes were there, but I do fear that I hyped this book up a little bit too much in my head, and that I was expecting a lot more out of it than what I got. It just felt like it was a bit repetitive at times, and then there were other times where it felt like there were certain points or like plot points that were being left out, or that I just didn't understand or didn't know that we already knew. And yes, I went back and checked myself just in case I had been skim reading, but I couldn't like find certain things where like plot points had already been addressed and like panned out and stuff. So I don't know if I'm just an idiot or I didn't understand it, or if there are genuinely just some like, I don't want to say discrepancies because I don't think that's quite the right word I'm looking for, but I don't know. I just felt like there were some things missing. Also, the main male character in this book calls our female main character Little Fish. And it's because she's a mermaid. Or no, not a mermaid. It's because she's like siren or part siren. But I just couldn't quite get behind that nickname. Like there are some nicknames that are like absolutely ridiculous in the bookish world, and I can still like let it slide. But Little Fish, I just didn't love that. I think literally anything else would have tickled my fancy, but not Little Fish, unfortunately, for me. And now, the book that I am currently in the middle of reading is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I am 39% into this book, according to Fable. I don't know if it's just because I'm in a reading slump at the moment, or on the verge of falling into a reading slump, or maybe it's just been a really long time since I've read an Emily Henry book, but this kind of feels like it will end up falling on the lower half of like my Emily Henry ranking. And granted, it's only 39% in so far, like the night is still young, things could change, but it's not quite doing it for me in the way that an Emily Henry book normally would. And I don't know if that's a me thing or if I just need to get more into the book to understand it, but only time will tell. Again, the night is still young. And now we can move on to my August TBR. The first book on my TBR is actually a book that I don't even have a copy of yet because it comes out on August 4th, and it is none other than To Dance with Death by Brittany Arena. By the time this video comes out, it will only be a couple of days until I get my hands on the book. I'm actually going to a release party for this book with the author, and I am so excited to get my hands on this book. It is the second book in a duology, and I rated the first book 5 out of 5 stars. I cannot wait to get back into this world. I cannot wait to see how it ends. I cannot wait to see the two love interests together again. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so great. I don't even have the vocabulary to describe to you how excited I am for this book. Next on the TBR is In Stormy Weather by Chelsea Curto. If you watched my videos in 2024, then you'll know that I was deeply, deeply obsessed with Twisters, the movie. And when I saw that people were starting to write romance novels about that general idea, the concept of storm chasing or meteorologists or tornadoes and that kind of thing in general, I cannot even begin to explain to you how excited I was. I also just went to a Noah Kahan concert where one of the songs made me think of the hundreds, if not probably thousands of Twisters edits that I saw on my timeline after that movie came out, 2 Noah Kahan songs, and just made me want to rewatch the movie, and so I did twice. Twice. I'm not even joking. I love that movie down, and I am so excited to jump into this book. I actually even have a signed book plate in here from the author, which I think is so cool. I have really high expectations, admittedly, going into this, but I think they will be met, honestly. Next on the TBR is actually another book that I don't have a copy of because it's not out yet, and that is Splintered Kingdom by Gretchen Powell Fox. This book is the second in a trilogy, the third book of which is coming out in October of this year, if I remember correctly, and I am so excited to get back into this series as well. I actually met the author of this series about a month ago at this point at a local book event and was able to get my first book signed by her. And I absolutely devoured that first book. I thought it was so much fun. I think the world building was great, and really she flushed out the characters before even attempting really to get into the romance, which I really respect, because sometimes when the romance starts a little too early, you're okay, so does their entire personality revolve around the other person? What's going on? But it was just so well balanced and so well written, and I cannot wait to continue this series. Next, I have A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. Now, considering the fact that this is the shortest ACOTAR book that there is, I have no doubt that I will get around to starting this book and easily finishing it this month. And that's good because the last book is the longest one, I'm pretty sure, which is a little frightening. And I only really have a couple months left to finish this series before the 6th ACOTAR book comes out. So I've really got to get serious about reading my books and actually reading them, because do I think that part of the reason that I am in a reading slump is because I am not doing very well at balancing reading and watching TV and being on my phone and that kind of thing? Yeah, easily. That is undeniably part of the reason. But I have to be willing and able, Noah Kahan reference, and want to pick up the book and get to it. because I cannot wait for the 6th one, and I haven't even finished the series yet, so. And last but most certainly not least on my August TBR is The Score by L. Kennedy. I cannot even begin to fathom this story of Allie and Dean because it makes me like so sad because I already know certain things that I wish I didn't know about the plot of this book. Not a lot, but some. And I am gonna cry. Like, I'm literally gonna cry. I know I'm gonna cry reading this book. Like, it's inevitable, quite frankly. And I, again, haven't even read the book yet, and I'm already tearing up at the thought of this, like, being on the screen. I just love them so much, and I want nothing but happiness for them. And I know that there's gonna be some sad parts in this book, and I am not ready for that. But at the same time, I am so ready for that. And that is the entirety of my August TBR, and therefore the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!